Well, I'm gonna make another one of these things. I just had to think of something, and this is uh, this is just. I'm just telling you stuff that I think of. It doesn't have nothing to do with. There are people that write these history books and things that know more about what they're talking about than I do. I'm just saying things that from a person that lived out in the audience. I've never been up on the podium. I've never been trying to tell people, uh, trying to explain to people how things are or any kind of recording of history or anything. I'm out in the audience listening, but I wanna give the perspective of things from hearing people talk and see what they have to say. And I remember talking about Germany when I was young. One of the things right after, I think after Germany's defeat in World War One, I'm not sure, but I think that they. This is all stuff I heard. I didn't read no history books. I didn't go to no colleges to study it or anything. It's just what I heard from people talking and what I gathered through the years. And I don't know if it's even right or not, But what I heard was that Versailles, I think it was supposed to have been the place where where Germany had to sign a treaty in some railroad car or something, and they. Well, I did read a book here in the last few years. I didn't read no very many books when I was living through life, but since I've been laid up, believe it or not, oh, I read Mein Kampf. I was just curious. I lived through. I was alive when World War II was going on. I was 9 years. I was 9 years old when the United States got into it in 1939. Well, I'll take that back. 40. When was it when they bombed 41? 1941. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in 41, I think it was, December 1941. But that was World War II going on over in Europe before that. And everybody knew about that. Germany had attacked a bunch of folks, and Britain was getting the devil bombed out of them, and Hitler was taking his armies into a bunch of these Balkan countries. I don't even have any idea what a Balkan country is, but I just remember that name and what it means or where it was at. I don't have the slightest idea. But there was some countries over there that he was running over, and I don't. There was some country that was taken away from him or something on the Treaty of World War II, and he took it back, and finally he invaded a country that France and England, I don't even remember which country it was, that had signed a war pact with or something, and that brought England into it, and but what the thing I wanted to make this on, more or less, I wanted to talk about here more than anything else, was I just don't understand economics. Economics, well, however you want to pronounce that word, hell, I can't know English. In fact, I was about the worst English student you ever seen in your life. I had a heck of a time trying to pronounce all these fancy English words, even though I was born English, My parents were, my grandmother was Norwegian, but my dad's folks were what we call Irish. They spoke English, but nevertheless, after World War One, Germany, I remember them talking about it. Of course, the end of World War One, I think, was in 1919. I'm not sure. Hell, I wasn't born then for sure. I didn't get born until several years later, but people talked about it, and I remember one thing that they said that stuck with me all these years. They said something about a wheelbarrow full of German marks wouldn't even buy a loaf of bread. That's how inflation had picked up over in Germany after World War One. And like I say, when I here in the last, I don't know, 6 months a year, I read that Mein Kampf. But I'm gonna tell you, I didn't get nothing out of it. I swear to God, you could read 30. Now I'm telling you what I did. I ain't telling you what somebody I ain't gonna tell you what somebody that knows how to read, and these English scholars and all that stuff. But when I read that thing, I'd read maybe 25, 30 pages, and when I would sit back and try to think of what I just read, I couldn't remember what the heck. I mean, I couldn't think of what it is. What was he saying? It was just a bunch of rambling. Just. I mean, it's almost like somebody would just. I mean, like I was in some mental institute somewhere, and some guy was just rattling. I don't know what he said, even though I read it. But then I'm not gonna. The thing of it is, I ain't no expert at English. Trying to. They got all kinds of folks that read that kind of stuff and make reports on it and all. But when I read the darn thing, I ain't hardly getting nothing out of it. The guy seemed like some kind of damn nut. And even when I used to watch I used to watch the newsreels and stuff back when I was a little bitty kid. When I'd go to it, of course, during the war years and leading up to it, you go to a movie show and they'd have that movie tone news of the world, and they would come on and they would show him sometimes speaking, and he always seemed like he was uncomfortable speaking. I don't know if you ever noticed it or not. I noticed it. He always moved his hands kind of when he was standing up there speaking in front of that microphone. He would put his hand up in front of him, and then he'd put it down beside his side. Then he'd put his hand over on the table. Then he would put it. He just acted like he was uncomfortable as the devil, and But anyway, what I was going to say, what I want to find, I just never understood, because when they defeated Germany back in 1919, I think it was, and they signed that treaty, World War I treaty, where he had to sign. By the way, I don't know if I'm sure all you folks heard about it, but I thought it was kind of something to think about. When Germany defeated France in the World War II, Hitler made France surrender in the same train car in the same city that Germany had to sign World War I defeat. And I thought that was kind of strange, and that was an insult. Boy, I mean, I swear to God, but if you were to get me to make a book report on Mein Kampf, I couldn't do it, because it was just a bunch of rambling stuff. God, I'd read a half a book, and I don't know what he said. Just a bunch of gobbledygook, So I didn't get nothing. I mean, reading this Mein Kampf was like taking a roll of toilet paper and rolling it off the wall, because I didn't get a darn thing out of it, It was just a waste of time, But anyway, what I really want to make this for is I don't understand economics. It's like if Germany was that. I mean, with all that wheelbarrow full of German marks, couldn't buy a loaf of bread. This is back in 1919. How in the world, he started all this stuff about 1939. Now, 1918 and 1939, what is that, about 11 years? That's 1919, it'd be 20. It'd be 11, 12, 15 years. How in the world did they come from German marks being a barrel full of them to buy a loaf of bread to where he could build a big army and he had the biggest and best at the start of World War II. He had the most powerful, the biggest, and the best army in the world. Now, how did you go from being a barrel full of German marks to buy a loaf of bread to having the biggest army and the most powerful army, most well-equipped army, building all them airplanes, all them tanks, putting all them soldiers in uniform, beating them people? How in the devil did he do that? I mean, you folks that understands economics, y'all gonna have to explain something to me, because I don't understand it. When y'all think about World War II, that's the first thing I think about. How in the dickens did he come from being flat when they beat Germany in World War I and they had to surrender? They didn't have nothing. Them people were devastated, And if you read Mein Kampf, about the only thing I got out of that was he was madder than the devil about what they had done to his country. They took part of the they took part of the country away from him. And God, I'm not literate. I'm not literate enough to know what all they took away from him. Hell, they took the Sudan lands. I heard. I don't know whether they did or not. But I heard statements like Sudan land and you know, I don't know. God, a lot of stuff I heard. And I don't even know where they took it away, gave it back to him, and he took it back. I don't know nothing. And all the thing that has me wondering was how in the world. I mean, all the rest. I mean, the United States was in a Great Depression. Man, we didn't have. You know, during the years that he built up his army, we were starving to death over here. You know, and how the devil did he do that? I mean, somebody's going to have to explain something to me because I don't understand it. How did you come from absolute devastation up to having the greatest and most powerful army in the world? What, man, economics just don't make no sense at all to me. I mean, they were supposed to have been devastated. I mean, they tried, the only thing I got out of Mein Kampf was that he was madder than the devil in Mein Kampf, the way they treated his country. It took away part of their country, and I don't know. You'd have to talk to people to know more about this stuff. All I know is that he was upset that the world had taken part of his country away from him. I think the Austria or something where he was born, they took that away from Germany, and he took it back when he got. You know, I don't know. Now this, I'm telling you stuff is probably not even true, but this is what I seem to get out of that Mein Kampf thing, that he started that World War II to get back at the world for what they done to even though Germany started World War II. I mean, World War I. I think, I'm not even sure about that. I guess they did. Heck, I don't know. I'm not no historian. But it just I've always thought about that. I mean, all the rest of the world was in the Depression. At least we was over here. You know, I remember that. Because I was... Man, 1939, I was only 9 years old. I was born in 1930, you know. So I know there was depression going on over here because I grew up in it, you know. And about 1939 is when he started all his stuff over there. He's killing everybody and running over countries and taking back part of Germany. And God Almighty, I don't know what all he did. He started bombing the devil, everybody. You've seen those newsreels and things. I mean, you realize that, man, he was mad at the world. Looked like he just killing everybody, you know. He going around bombing cities and, oh my goodness, I mean, you've seen people being blown up and killed and all that stuff, and them newsreels, them movie-tone newsreels back 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, I don't know. Good Lord, I was just a little kid when I used to see them. If I went to a movie show, it was movie-tone newsreels. None of you folks probably remember, not very many of them. Those that do are probably old and senile like they were in a home that I come out of here. I finally left. But anyway, I'm senile myself. I can't remember things real well. When I make these things, I can't think of words that I want to say. It's like I remember when I was a little kid, the first thing I heard about Hoover Dam. And then they got mad at Hoover, so they called it Boulder Dam. They wouldn't call it Hoover Dam because he was such an unpopular president. He was president when we had the Great Depression, you know, and so they punished him by renaming Hoover Dam to Boulder Dam. Now I don't know what they call it now, you know, but as far as I know, it's still Boulder Dam. I don't think they liked Hoover enough to keep calling it Hoover Dam. They call it Boulder Dam now. That'll teach him. He was the president when they had that Great Depression. Oh, Hoover was. So they wasn't gonna name no big dam after him like that famous dam out there. Well, I'm gonna quit now.